Coach Toyin speaking. Welcome to today's session. Today I'm covering the idea of activating the power of self awareness, introspection, and self expression. So, welcome everyone. I see those who are joining from different parts of the world. Greetings to you all. So, like I shared earlier, we just launched a new program in my academy, Toyin Umesiri Academy, and it was really deep, going deeper into emotional intelligence, okay, as a secret to success. If you want to accelerate your journey to success, if you want to achieve success sooner not later, then EQ is the secret, right? Because traditional education system went deeper into IQ, right? Your ability to comprehend, to read, to understand, knowledge in general, to apply to specific skills development, right? We were all trained, right, when it comes to IQ, intellectualism, all of that. However, when it comes to any area that has to do with leadership, human to human connectivity, influence, power, wealth, that is another school of thought that is highly governed by EQ. Okay. And this is one of the gaps that a lot of entrepreneurs face, their ability to really get comfortable with emotions, your emotions and other people's emotions. So, B Nikki, thanks for joining. Always a pleasure. I also see Malika for joining, Korede for joining, more people joining. Definitely let me know where you're joining from. And this type of session is more interactive. When I'm in the studio hosting guests, it's more formalized. This is kind of like, coffee or tea. Pull up and let's have a conversation. Yeah, but it's going to be deep. So, when it comes to wellness, emotional well being, okay, because success, business, listen, this is the work people are not doing that is making people really, really struggle. Okay, if you find yourself struggling when you're on the emotional roller coaster, you are attempting something that is really tough. Really, business development is tough, if we're going to say the truth, right? When it comes to entrepreneurship, you're building a business from scratch. You want to launch your ideas, you want to make money, you want to serve people. It puts you under incredible pressure. Pressure to perform, pressure to learn, pressure to develop skill, pressure to acquire new skills, acquire more knowledge, develop new relationships, networking, finance, right? In fact, one of the things we talked about on my show earlier today is this idea that the dexterity that is required to function as an entrepreneur is like being a pilot. Everything must work, right? You must have a minimum understanding of everything, and that's what my school also helps you do. So at Toyin Umesiri Academy, really we go deep so we can go high. We go into inner work, mindset, right? Emotional intelligence. We go into business, technical skills, branding, marketing, sales, right? It is your secret to success. If you want to accelerate success, it's going to really help you speed it up. So when it comes to emotional well-being and also the power of influence and leadership, okay? You cannot influence people, you cannot lead other people, you cannot influence them if you cannot influence yourself, if you cannot lead yourself. So let's start where we need to start. Many people start trying to convince people when they've not convinced themselves, trying to lead other people when they've not led themselves, trying to communicate with other people. When you listen, when it comes to human engagement, if you can gift yourself this skill, if you can develop this skill that I'm covering today, okay, you will be able to connect deeply with more people in the world. You know why? The way you talk to yourself is the way you talk to other people. The way you do life is the way you do business. You cannot hide from this. Many people try to mask, but it all comes out. It's showing up. We all know, those who are for real and who are not for real, and realize that other people are forming their impression of you as well. Okay. So when it comes to really self-awareness, I mean, there are several school of thought. I tend to design my own original, processes and frameworks for my school. Okay. So what I'm going to teach you today is this idea of input, process, output. Just like a computer, right? How you're going to master, how are you going to master, right? How you experience the world, how you bring in data into your being, right? Five senses. Use your hands. Do like this. Five. Taste, touch, smell, hearing, right? Sight. The five senses. Okay? How you take data. Well, five physical senses. There are other senses, not just physical, right? There are other senses. When you think about spiritual sense, all of that, but that's not what we're covering today. We're talking about the five physical senses. How you experience the world, how you take in information, how you explore the world, how information come into your being. Okay? When you're reading, you're taking things in. When you're watching TV, you're taking things in. When you're reading a blog, when you're experiencing things, you're even when you're sitting and you're just sitting down exploring, trust me, consciously and subconsciously, you're taking in data. Okay? So your awareness of the personalized way you take in information, you take in data that is unique to you. Okay, so this is important. How I take in information and how you take in information is different. This is the unique side of each person. But your five senses are stimulated, right? And then it experiences the world around you. You see certain things, you hear certain things, you smell certain things, right? On and on and on. And then you take it in. When it goes into you, consciously and subconsciously, because if you're driving your car, okay, let's say you're driving your car, and as you're going, there are certain things you are conscious about. You are probably conscious, let's say if you're looking at a map, because you don't want to get lost, you're probably focused on making sure you can read the directions, okay, and you can know when to turn right and turn left. That's your focus. You're focused on directions and the streets and driving, right? That's consciousness. But when it comes to subconscious, the part of it that is not in you are also taking in data. There are certain things you are seeing and experiencing subconsciously that you may not even be aware of consciously. Okay? There are certain things that are happening. That's why sometimes, for a brief moment, your consciousness may may go off a little bit and you're still driving. And then you say, oh wait, let's these things happen. Okay. So realize that autopilot, there's an autopilot baked in, okay, into functioning, particularly things that you repeat over and over and over again. When you first learn how to drive, right, there's no subconscious. You have to learn. But once you learn, a lot of it moves over into, right, subconscious autopilot. You know it a lot, you've done it enough times, right? You can almost do it effortlessly. Not everything, the brain power to consciously learn, right? You don't need to apply that learning skill because now you're a master. The same thing is true in business, right? That's why I always say, right, whatever you're finding difficult right now, you need to do it enough times so that you can move it into autopilot. But as long as you're still struggling, you're still fighting, you're still like, right? It's because you've not done it enough times. You've not learned it, you've not mastered it. Because once you master anything, autopilot picks up, it becomes less painful, right? Effortless, it becomes more enjoyable, right? But until you learn, you have to keep learning. Okay. So when it now comes to data coming in, what usually happens is if you don't take time out to consciously process, you can unconsciously process, right? Without introspection, without self-reflection. This is a lot of the things that causes anxiety. Is that until you move those things into your consciousness and properly file it and make specific decisions about what's going on in your mind, many of these things are still in the subconscious. So when people don't slow down enough, okay, when people don't slow down enough to start seeing this as a very important discipline that gives you peace and calm and rest is that when you keep taking things in, and you don't slow down enough to now assess what's going on within you and to then make certain decisions, your mind may want, your heart may want you or need you to make decisions. You've consumed so much information, so much data, but they are not fully processed because most of those things were done unconsciously. But many of those things need conscious reflection, right? You need to give time to reflect, to introspection, like checking with yourself, checking with yourself. We tend to be checking in on social media, on which seem to be saying, oh, what are people saying today? We seem to be externally minded, externally focused, right? Externally stimulated. We are checking in with the external world. This is about checking in with your internal world, with yourself. If you don't do this, a lot of it leads to a lot of feelings, unprocessed emotions that is running through people and they don't know what to do. Okay? This is where it's like you don't know how you're feeling and you can't put words around it. Hmm. Yeah, that's something you have to take note of. Is that when we haven't learned out, and this is something you actually have to do a lot. And people that don't do this, you're going to be nervous more. There's going to be a lot of anxiety, a lot of unprocessed emotions, a lot of data that needs you to make certain decisions or be aware. Name it. Why do you feel the way you feel? What's going on within you? What do you really want? What are you going after? What do you need to do? Your ability to sit with yourself and get clear on what those things are, okay, is important. Because once you can do that, then the third side of this is self expression. Okay, you take in information consciously, subconsciously, you process it consciously, subconsciously. Now, when it comes to expression, if you haven't done introspection, people tend to be reactive, right? Certain times erratic, like you just do things, you say anything anyhow, you show up, right? This is where behavior, words, behaviors, action, right? That's the output. And so when you start finding yourself not intentional, because introspection allows you to be more intentional in your approach towards life. What do I want? What do I want, right? Your ability to understand what you want, what your heart is crying for, or asking you to give it, your ability to listen to your desires, met and unmet, your ability to commit to yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to take this action, right? I'm going to not take this action based on the data going on within you, like the information flying within you. When people don't do any of that, they tend to show up in the world also without clarity, without intention, and they just want to stumble, right? Where there's no clarity, where there's no intention, where there's no goal, where there's no vision, right? People just show up wasting time, energy, and resources, and they tend not to get what it is they say they want because they've not committed to what they want, right? Because if you feel that something, you want something within you, and you're not committing to go out there and get it, yet you are spending the same time, the same resources that ought to be serving your need, you're spending it on other things, you're likely to start seeing that, right? Anxiety increases. So when it comes to emotional well-being in the world of business, you have to learn and practice this discipline. So you can decide whether in the morning, afternoon, evening, whether you're a morning person, afternoon afternoon person. I don't know who is an afternoon person, but anyway, and or night person. What time are you going to give to listening to yourself, self-reflection, introspection, assessing things that you're processing, and then this is where you start shifting. Because when you acquire new information, it's likely going to challenge you to shift. It's likely going to challenge you to think differently, think about what you're thinking about, right? Assess how you're feeling. There are certain feelings that also, it's a signal that you've taken in thoughts and ideas that is toxic to your well-being. Your ability to also delete, when I say delete those things, is or override it with new ways of thinking, new ways of being. That way you can actually also start showing up differently. So this is so important, this is so powerful. So I just wanted to put out a little bit of intro out there. But join us at toyinumesiri.academy, where you can access resources, business development resources, personal growth resources, mindset coaching programs to help you accelerate your journey to business growth and success. So thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you again. Reach out, and definitely happy to support you on your journey. I'm your catalyst to business growth and success. And trust me, we go deep, so we go higher. Okay.